All right, you guys, what's going on? Town Biz Sports and Entertainment. Got a special guest. He finna cook. I'm finna let him pretty much anchor the whole show. So I got my man, consultant, entrepreneur. You know what I'm saying? He do everything. Union
President
rep.
of the Professional Boxing Union.
Yeah. Before we start, Jay, tell him about the union.
Well, I'm the president of the Professional Boxing Union, and just started a union to try to make sure that boxers get adequate and sufficient medical benefits. It really kind of geared toward the retired fighter and the active C and D fighter. Those are the guys that aren't exclusively signed to a promoter that'll need the help. You know, they'll need certain things to make sure that they're cool.
Okay. Yeah. Let me ask you this, Jay. Is there currently like a set pay scale like for fighters? Is there a minimum, or basically it really just come down to what the promoter want to give them? And are we close to working on at least a minimum per fight?
Well, I mean, it shouldn't be a minimum. You can't really just gauge a minimum for a fight because sometimes you have pay-per-view events that have massive budgets, and typically the promoter has fighters on that card that he's building up, and you utilizing fighters that aren't signed exclusively to a promoter. So they might get with a big pay-per-view card. Just say for instance, a fighter might get 10 grand, 15 grand, 20 grand if they're not signed exclusively to a promoter. But what I would like um, in the forecast is for the C and D fighters that aren't signed to promoters exclusively to get 10% gross of their purse to a pension fund for them. So if they want to add additional monies from their purse to their pension, that's all good. But I want to make sure that the monies that they have in the budget go to those fighters for utilizing them. You know what I'm saying? Because typically they're gonna they might upset the talent that's signed exclusively, but 9 times out of 10 they don't. You know, so instead of just being used, they'll have some money put to the side for them as well into a pension fund.
Yeah, I'm kind of glad that I touched bases with you on that particular subject because I wanted to get more clarity on how purses and all that kind of stuff work. And let me ask you this: like, how is it determined how much a fighter should be paid, and how is the money? How is the money separated? How is the money divided between the promoter, the fighter, and his team, and whoever else is involved?
Well, the promoter is the person that gets the money from the network, and what they'll do is they'll what they'll do is they'll put together a main card. Just say, for instance, Tank and we just say Tank and Shakur, for instance, and they'll pitch it to a television network, and the television network is the ones that signs off on it and puts the money up, and then the promoter facilitates everything else.
Okay, yeah, I wanted to get some clarity on that. So I wanted to talk about some current events and then some upcoming events. Okay, so for one, let's start with the big event that's coming up in September between Canelo Alvarez and Terrence Crawford. How do you see that fight? What is your prediction on that fight?
Well, it's funny though because I said at Spence versus Crawford, and I was in the MGM hours before the fight, and I think it was Miss Deborah, Terrence Crawford's mom. She was sitting at the casino playing the slots, and I mentioned to her about if he beats Spence, he should fight Canelo, and that happened. It's happening. So I mean, with that being said, I feel that it's a win-win for Crawford either way, win or lose, because I mean you got to think of it. He's challenging the top dog. It's nothing wrong with that, and I think that he has all the tools and possesses tremendous heart. He has everything. He's a complete fighter. He has a tremendous chin, nice chin, decent power. I'm hoping that he can tote that power up there to 168. But he has other things in his toolbox, as Roy Jones always, expresses. And other legendary trainers and other boxers, say. We gotta think about what they say. I mean, I'm basing my opinion off theirs and what I've seen as well. My expertise of 25 years in the game. So I look for Crawford to prevail. I mean, I like Canelo as well, but I've watched past fast fights. I've watched Canelo. He's sharp because he know how to take off. He'll take off a couple rounds, and I see him getting fatigued in some of those fights, and then he'll take some rounds off. So it's about Crawford coming in there in the top condition, which I know he'll be. But I see Crawford prevailing.
Let me ask you this. I mean, you dabbled in boxing yourself. What would you suggest the best game plan be for Crawford? I mean, I see some things. I did some research, and you're going to find something very interesting about Terrence Crawford. Bibble was 6'1" with a 72-inch reach. And we know his jab bothered Canelo throughout the fight. Terrence Crawford, 5'8", 74-inch reach. And what has been Canelo's biggest Achilles heel? The jab. And Bud has a great jab.
Right. And jabbing in the movement. And like I said, Crawford can do the same thing on the right side as he can do on the left side. So that's another thing that Canelo has to worry about. He has to worry about power coming from both sides. It's rare that you find a fighter. You know who Terrence Crawford reminds me of a lot? Marvin Hagler. A switch hitter with power and can switch at the drop of the dime.
That's true about Hagler.
So think about that. I have to defend that. I mean, if I was Canelo, that's something that I have to defend. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, yeah, and Bud is good at it. He's great at it. Shoot.
So do you think so let me ask you this, Jay. Do you think Bud should start off southpaw and then just periodically switch to orthodox, or you think he should start off orthodox and then, just at the drop of a dime, switch to southpaw to confuse Canelo?
I probably would come out southpaw, or he could come out right hand. But I would take away Canelo's right hand first. Well, no, I would take. Canelo has left and right though. He got power in both hands, but I think maybe southpaw be the best move for him. But Bud probably gonna come out right-handed and then switch up to southpaw. But I think he should fight him southpaw.
Okay. I see something else. You gonna trip out. I'm seeing something. I don't want to particularly give away the game plan because Bud's team watch my channel, but I see Bud training for a strategy that usually people don't enact with Canelo. And I'm gonna tell you right now, don't be surprised if you see a certain fighter possibly get hurt with a body shot? Because I see somebody getting they body broken down throughout the fight. I think the headshots are going to come later, and and I'm just seeing that. I just see one
I think
particular.
a
I
body
don't want to
shot
say
is. I
who it
think
is.
body. I already know, but I think body shots is key. I think that yeah, that's something good right there. That's a good strategy right there, because you could kill the you man. You can kill the body, and when you kill the body, the head gonna fall. You know, and I've watched Andre Ward. I think you're talking about him, but I watched Andre Ward in Kovalev 1. He discovered late in the fight, but he discovered it was really big for the next fight. You know, that's where he prevailed tremendously. But he found gold in that body in what, like sixth, seventh, eighth round up in there.
Yeah, and then
You know,
he
so
was breaking down his body. It didn't look pretty. It didn't look pretty. And I know, Jay, a lot of times hitting people to the body don't look as fancy as, like, hitting somebody with a good counter or a check. You know what I'm saying? Because one thing about Floyd, when he landed a flush shot, like what he did to Sugar Shane Mosley, I watched that fight. And I think a lot of times people undervalue body punching. And I think in this particular fight, I think one of these fighters gonna be surprised with a body attack. And I think that's gonna be the key to the person who I think gonna win the fight is gonna win the fight. So, Jay, I have to ask you, what do you think of a 46-year-old Manny Pacquiao who last fought 4 years ago, got beat to a pulp, coming back to fight Mario Barrios? What do you think of a 46-year-old Pacquiao not only coming out of retirement to fight Mario Barrios, but fighting for a title?
I think it's a good. I think it's good. I mean, I think he'll beat Barrios. Barrios really can't crack.
Do you think it's fair that Manny Pacquiao, a guy that hasn't fought in 4 years, comes out the gate and get a title shot? I understand popularity and all that kind of stuff, but I don't care for the politics. So how do you feel about that? I mean,
Well,
it is what it is.
the thing of it is, Manny Pacquiao is a multi division world champion. So that's if he's able to fight and clear the fight, that's a given. You have to you know, especially if he's got a couple wins. He's already got one win. Typically, they want you to have a few wins to get back, but you know, like I said, he's a multi division world champion. You know, so him getting the win automatically counterbolts him back up there. You know, you automatically get ranked when you're a former world champion. This is how the belt organizations do. They'll put you right back up there. You know, back in the day, I know it was 3 wins, but like I said, he's Manny Pacquiao. He was the former cash cow under Floyd Mayweather, and like I said, he has what? How many divisions? Six, seven, eight,
No,
eight
he is
divisions.
he's an eight division world champion.
Okay, so yeah, eight. I was right. Eight. I said six, seven, eight, but eight is what it is. So I mean, yeah, I mean, shit. If he won his last fight, so he's legit. He's legit. So you know he's able to come back and do it. I mean, you can't stop that. Who would want to stop that?
I
You
understand
know,
that. Yeah. I just think that
Barrios just got to get
Barrios.
ready.
I mean, do you give Pacquiao like a real chance? And let me ask you this: if Barrios loses to a Manny Pacquiao who hasn't fought in 4 years, who lost his last fight very convincingly, do you think Barrios should just hang it up? Because that would just say a lot of where he is as a fighter. I don't think fighters should always contemplate retirement if they lose a fight, because you've been seeing that a lot. But do you think he should consider retirement if he loses to Manny Pacquiao at 46?
No, no, no. Keep fighting as long as you can. I mean, and you know, keep piling up the bread. I mean, if you're able to do it and you're able to to be a he's a see the thing of it is if he does lose to Barrios a two-time world champ. So if Barrios does lose to Manny Pacquiao, doesn't suggest anything really. Manny Pacquiao is a former pound for pound welterweight, 8 division. So I mean it doesn't really knock Barrios down. He still will be looked at as a great opponent, and former world champion, a high level journeyman world champion, so it doesn't take away anything from him. He's still, got his accolades or whatever and still can be a great opponent for other
Yeah.
fighters, even the ones coming up, if they can get, typically the way you build a fighter, you make sure that you get a former world champion on their resume. And he'll be one of those guys, if he loses to Manny Pacquiao, which is not a
Yeah.
bad thing, because he still get paid, get paid a tremendous amount of money to fight a fighter that they're trying to raise and build up to become a world champion.
So what would that say about Manny Pacquiao's legacy? I think that would be very interesting. I mean, he would be one of the
Because
very few people like Bernard Hopkins, George Foreman, guys that fought in their mid 40s and won titles. So I think, and the funny thing is, he just got, he just got put in the Boxing Hall of Fame. So that would be sort of like, I mean, I think he's an all-time great, but it would speak volumes if he like came out of a 4-year retirement and losing badly in his last fight, only to dominate Mario Barrios.
yeah, it wouldn't. Excuse me. It wouldn't. It wouldn't affect him. I don't think it'll affect him at all. I don't think it'll be a knock on either fighter. Win or lose. I think both. It's a win-win for both of them. Barrios wins. He has Manny Pacquiao on his resume. If Manny Pacquiao wins, that puts Manny Pacquiao back in the race for something else. Something that's up and coming. Um, that's what I think. you know,
Okay, that would
um,
be interesting. Well, let me ask you this. I don't think this is too far off because, well, I mean, me and you know more than what get put out there, but me and you both know. I mean, we might as well reveal it. There was talks possibly Floyd fighting Barrios instead of Manny Pacquiao, but according to reports, there wasn't enough money there for Floyd. So let me ask you this: do you think Floyd would be waiting in the woodworks? If I see Floyd, you're going to that fight, right? You're going to that fight, right?
yeah, I'll be there.
So let me ask you this: if you happen to see Floyd pull up, do you think if Manny Pacquiao wins, do you think then a real discussion for Floyd Mayweather versus Manny Pacquiao too would be a possibility? Do you think Al would say, both of these guys are PBC fighters? I know it wouldn't have like I know it wouldn't have like the excitement that the one in 2015, had. But do you think there would still be interest in a Floyd Manny Pacquiao too? And it would be for a title.
I mean, that'll depend. Depends on. I mean, Al could package it up to the networks, but I mean, who's going to put the money up for that type of fight though? Who's going to put the money up? That's where it comes to. You have to sell it to the network. And how much money is Floyd Mayweather going to ask for? I mean, like does he still feel that he should get the same amount of guarantees that he got when he fought Manny Pacquiao in 2015? Or is he going to think realistically, and come with some realistic figures that probably gives more takes less guarantees and more of the back end, or takes less guarantees to get the back end. I mean, that's what I'm thinking. That fight would do okay. But if he's
So
taking if he wants a tremendous guarantee, then nobody's going to pay for that, because I don't think people really understand what the guarantees mean. The guarantees mean that if I say that I'm guaranteeing you $5 million, I got to pay you that $5 million whether I make my money back or not. And people are not in the business of putting monies up to not make their money back. I hear all these fighters talk all this stuff about send a contract and all this. I mean, have you ever discussed the monies with the network or the promoter that's going to get the money for the network? So, people don't understand. And they don't understand. They just think because somebody else made some money that they're on that level of making that amount of money. Nah, you have to put the work in. You have to be able to sell. If you're not selling 10,000 seats, I mean, you got to be able to sell at least 10,000 seats to even contemplate pay-per-view. And a pay-per-view fight, needs a worthy pay-per-view opponent, which Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather are the top pay-per-view guys. So it'll most definitely be a pay-per-view event. But like I said, it won't get done unless the guarantees are lower or are reasonable, I should say.
okay, I understand that, because from me to you, I'm thinking, and I'm not trying to pocket watch. Me and you both know there's no 75 million for Floyd and 50 for Manny. Probably at best, this is maybe 20 million in between both of them, and plus probably we know it's not going to sell 4 million pay-per-views. I'm thinking maybe over 1 million. I think just because of diehard and boxing purists. So, do you think that's sort of like a realistic number, and maybe back end money?
I think I'm gonna say this. So when Manny Pacquiao was fighting, he was doing 500.
Mm-hmm.
He was doing 500,000 pay-per-view buys. When Floyd Mayweather retired, and then I think he kind of semi-retired, and he started back when he fought Adrian Broner. Didn't that fight do 500 million? 500,000?
Adrian, hey, can somebody in the chat room look up?
It did 500,000 pay-per-view buys, maybe 550 or around in there. So at that's what,
at the time that fight was
million,
like 70, 70. It was like $70. It's like $70.
So yeah. Okay, so yeah, that's like 35, 40 million. And then it sold. The ticket sales was probably $15 million, $10 million, around up in there, $10 to $15 million for the ticket sales. So that fight probably generated about 50 million in a whole. So yeah, that's why Manny Pacquiao asked for 20 million. So if they both asked for 20 million, I think it's doable. I think that's realistic. But these guys being the former pay-per-view stars and former pay-per-view, cash cows and ticket sales, I think that 20 million a piece guaranteed is good for them. And I think that if after all that money is made back, then they can get their back ends.
Do you think they would have to
But
put an interesting?
I
What
definitely
about
think
an interesting
it'd do $1
undercard?
million. I definitely think it should do close to 1 million pay-per-view buys.
I think it'll do over 1 million. I think it'll do 1 million and some change. I think boxing purists, just out of curiosity, I think if they put together a good promotion and a good, and a decent undercard, I do think the undercard could be pivotal too. But Al got people he'll be able to put on the undercard and stuff, and I think it'll be a feasible fight. But I don't think that 4 million pay-per-views is logical, because keep in mind, streaming is way more advanced 10 years later than what it was in 2015.
I was watching Crawford Madrimov with Sam Watson, and The co-main event was Pet Bull, and then I watched him at the Benavidez fight. Man, Pet Bull is a good co-main event, at least third. You could put him in either the co-main slot, which is 2, or the third slot, because he gonna give you some action, and people want to see that. They want to see a good fight. That little kid can fight, man. I like him.
And that's funny. He is featured on Manny Pacquiao, Mario
Yeah,
Barrios.
yeah. See, I told maybe Sam told Al what I said, because I'm telling you, man, I say that. I've said that twice. I said with Sam in 2 fights, and I told Sam, I said, man, Pet Bull, boy. And the crowd like Pet Bull too. You know what I'm saying? So he gonna come to fight. But yeah, that's good. That's good he's on there. Oh yeah, he's on there too because he's Manny Pacquiao's fighter, right? Yeah,
I
I
think
think Manny
him and
Pacquiao. I think yeah.
I think they got the same manager. The tall. If I'm not mistaken, the
You
tall
talking about
white
Sean?
guy.
You talking about Sean
Yeah,
Gibbons?
yeah. I know.
So Sean Gibbons runs he runs Pacquiao Promotions.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. So that.
yeah. So yeah,
Yeah.
that
Okay.
explains it.
So that would make all the sense in the world. That would make
Yeah,
all. Okay. So speaking of upcoming fights, so it was just announced. Devin Haney, Brian Norman Jr. is going to take place November. Location has yet to be determined. I'll talk to Brian Norman Sr. They haven't found a definitive location. I would like to be honest with you, me myself. I like Turkey, but I do think Turkey need to put fights like these in the States. I would like to see this fight be in the States. But what do you think of that fight, Devin versus Brian Norman Jr.?
Excuse me. I'm sorry. Excuse me. In terms of certain fights like that being in the States, I don't think it'll be a good thing unless. See, you have to understand. I keep explaining to you. How could I say this? We have to think about what the previous data, the previous fights. Nobody knows the guy, Brian Norman Jr. that good. He's fighting on top rank cards, but he's not doing no tremendous numbers where he's the main eventer. Devin Haney, he really doesn't have a home, so he wasn't able to be able to get somewhere and do numbers to sell 10,000 tickets in one place on a continuous basis. So for them to do it over there, I mean, it's nothing wrong with that. Nobody loses no money on venue cost, on marketing and promotions.
Well, Turkey is going to be footing the whole bill, so that's one thing you don't have to worry about. He will be footing the whole bill.
Yeah,
That's one.
but I mean, in terms of the fight, though, I mean, I feel that, and I'm gonna say this: if Bill picked it, it's a good fight. But if Devin picked this fight himself and told Bill, "I want this guy," my hat come off to Devin, because that's gutsy, and I respect that. That means he got heart. Because Devin is
Yeah, I
really
think.
not known for, that, and it's his opportunity now to prove, that I'm back. Because this kid could punch. This kid got power.
He got power in both his hands.
So like I said, man, this is close to rematching to Ryan Garcia.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I think Brian Norman Jr. is far more skillful than Ryan Garcia. I mean, Ryan Garcia. I think the
You
keeper.
probably saying that. You probably saying that, but what I'm saying is that all the shit that Ryan Garcia did, I got to get that back, dog. I got to rematch you. I don't care if you is on steroids. I don't care what you do. We got the rematch.
Yeah, Ryan Garcia is out of commission right now. Ryan Garcia seemed to be having a lot of internal problems. You know, him and Oscar going
Well,
at it. They
and that could be the case. That could be the case. That could be the case. But to pick this fight is a good pick. I respect it. You know what I'm saying? But like I
well,
said, I really respect it if Devin called it himself.
who do you think wins this? Who do you think wins this fight?
I don't know. I got to look at the kid a little more. I don't know right now. As of now, I can't say as of now. But like I said, I looked at him and he's strong. He got a little power, you know. And like I said, that's gutsy. That's gutsy. That's a gutsy fight. That's a good fight for Devin to come back on. And I mean, if he can get Ryan after this fight, if he could beat this dude and get Ryan after this fight, that's big. But you got to get Ryan. You got to get Ryan.
Yeah,
Are you gonna be
yeah.
like my boy? Are you gonna be like my boy Gary Russell? You know, I felt like Gary Russell should have got what's the boy name? Top rank guy
Lomachenko.
should have got Lomachenko back. You can't be talking no shit and you ain't avenging your losses. That's just how the game go. I know motherfuckers ain't gonna like me saying that. Excuse my language, but I'm just keeping it real. You have to avenge your losses in this game, man. You go back and think about how you lost and come back and win that shit.
Yeah,
You got to.
I'm all for it. But Ryan, the problem is with Ryan. Ryan, I mean, Devin did his part. I mean, I know he had a lackluster performance versus Ramirez, but it take two people to tangle. And then Ryan
Well, well,
Garcia.
well, well,
No,
well.
wait,
Devin wasn't
you got
listening.
to hear.
Devin wasn't listening to Bill. I mean, I thought it was the other way around till I watched the fight. Bill was telling him to block that hook, and he wasn't. He wasn't rolling under it or nothing. And Tank showed you to roll under that hook and or to block it. And he would have been okay if he would have been doing that because I don't think Ryan's right hand was powerful enough. Well, Ryan got power in both hands, but he would have been able to see that right hand better, I think. Um, you know, another finding with using his jab, but uh, you know, and I like Devin, man. Devin's my guy, man. I just want to see him. You know, I don't like how they disrespecting him. You know, so I feel like this fight right here, you handle your business, man. You're gonna get your respect back. You know,
Well, let
it's a
me ask.
fight to get your respect back.
Well, let me ask you this, Jay. If you feel comfortable speaking about this, I mean, if you want to share with the audience, I'm gonna just ask you this question. You can either say no comment or you can answer the question. You can answer it the best way you want to answer it. A lot of people ask me, and I'm gonna ask you based off what happened with Devin Haney, Ryan Garcia, and the lawsuit, the 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 failed steroid test. Do you think if it wasn't for Turkey Al Sheik stepping in, do you think Devin was slightly blackballed in boxing? And if so, why? You know, I'm a journalist. This is what I mean. If you don't want to talk about it, you don't want to talk about
Yeah,
it. You don't
yeah.
have to.
I think he would have been blackballed. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Not his fault though. Not his fault. Not his fault. I mean, it's you know, he just and the promoters can't be mad because they got finessed. They can't be mad because Bill finessed them. But it wasn't Devin's fault. That Devin got in there and fought like he was supposed to every time. You know, his daddy put it together for him and got it to where he could fight or whatever, and and he handled his business. But it was no exclusively signing with nobody. Is where the promoters probably got mad at. Lou and Top Rank and Eddie Hearn. That's probably where they got mad at. I think maybe even De La Hoya too. It was some, Bill was trying to go over there, but I mean, that's on them. They act like they the smartest people, uh, and to get finessed, that's what happened. They got finessed. Am I right or wrong?
I,
What? I
I,
mean, it's the fucking truth. Bill worked him. I mean, I'm just gonna keep it motherfucking real. And he know I keep it real. He worked them, but Devin handled his business. In the process of working them, he was winning. You got to remember that. He was. Devin won. He won 2 times over there in Australia. So
yeah, yeah, that was tough to go like circle back
then he
and
then
go
he
there.
then he went in then he went in and won stole one off Lomachenko.
So I mean, he
So I
did what
mean,
he
you,
was
you
supposed to
can't
do.
you can't so you can't really and then he turned around and Eddie Hearn put his title up and he beat that guy, his guy, and didn't sign with him. So I mean, yeah, man, it's just they was gonna blackball him for that. Yeah, but that's their fault because they should have got some kind of uh multi-fight deal in place with them. What Top Rank and Lou got, what, the 3-fight deal with Top Rank. They did the 3-fight deal with Devin them. And Eddie see that shows Eddie his experience in the game. You know, he started Devin off though and put him in place. But I think he should have had, if he was gonna let Devin come in and fight his guy, which had a title, that he should have put a few fight deal in place, 3-fight deal in place, and he would have had him. You know, so can't get mad when you get worked. You have to be mad at yourself, right or
Yeah,
wrong.
yeah. I'll tell that to everybody when they get when they be letting some of these ladies play them. So you did it to yourself. You already knew she was for the streets, but hey, you know what I'm saying? You bought her a car in your name, and then you got other niggas out here telling niggas to babysit a chick until they get into town. So, but we'll leave that alone. We'll leave that alone. But that was he know who he is though. All right, so let me ask you the big question before you go, because I know it's getting a little late. All right, so Jake Paul, Julio Cesar Chavez. Jake Paul defeats another past his prime, washed up fighter, and now Jake Paul seems to be under fire himself because people are saying we're seeing too much of this, and it just looked like the outcome of your fights are predetermined. And now Jake Paul seems to have his feelings hurt, and he's threatening to come after content creators and reporters that say his fights are fixed. So, what's your take on the whole Jake Paul situation? And keep it a
I,
buck.
I mean, the thing of it is, you look at me and Blues kind of chopping it up about this via text, and I basically said, like he said, he should fight Andre Ward. Andre Ward, 41 years old,
I don't know.
multi-division world champion, bunch of titles. Let my homie get that money. Let Andre Ward get that money. But we can't. But if he get that money, you can't have all them clauses in there saying he can't touch you for 20 million. Hopefully, his integrity, which I think is his integrity won't allow him to even enter into no shit like that.
I don't.
Where
I
you
don't
have
need.
clauses in there where you can't get knocked out. See, this is what's damaging the sport, and this unrealistic boxing. Yeah, I don't know if you've seen it lately. What's coming out now? You see these people doing these videos, and they trying to show moves that they see boxers doing, and then they're trying to duplicate videos with the moves, and The moves are totally incorrect. You know, this fake stuff is watering down boxing, man. You know what I'm saying? These guys have hundreds, 100+ amateur fights. You know, the C&D fighters got 50 and 60 at least. The world champions got 100+ amateur fights. So it takes many years to learn certain things of sparring to learn how to move in that ring. You can't just go to somebody that know how to hit the mitts and do aerobics, boxing aerobics, and think you could do boxing moves. You know, you got to know when to do these moves. You got to know how to pivot on a check hook. There's certain things you got to know. You got to learn, and it take years. It take time in the ring. You know what I'm saying? It take doing 10 rounds of just shadow boxing and not hitting anything, and working on your footwork while you're moving around that ring. You know what I'm saying? You know, and Jake Paul learning on the job, but he's not learning on the job. You know, he's learning, but he's not learning the way that, you know, these C&D fighters have learned, you know, and they'll never make the money that he's made, you know. So I'm like I've told you before, I don't respect it. I don't respect it because, you know, it's not boxing to me, you know, and we don't need no more damage in the sport. You know, and as the president of the union, I'm gonna be putting some things down to try to help. I'm trying to get all the fighters together in a cohesive effort to whereas we could change a lot of this bullshit that exists in boxing. You know, I don't like it. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, that right there, I mean, my hat goes off to Jake Paul. I don't knock his hustle, but you hustling our sport and you fucking up our sport.
Yeah, I just find that amusing that he's lashing out at people that just question. I mean, one of the analysts that was calling his fight, he broke it down. He said, as far as I'm concerned, Jake Paul only didn't had out of his 12 or 13 fights, he only didn't had like 3 or 4 fights with actual fighters. So,
Right.
you know, with that being said, I mean, come on, you fought a basketball player that had no, and then
Right.
you got a lot, and then that's on your record. And then what was brought to my
Right.
attention, there was no for this. This is why a lot of people are raising their eyebrows. There was no gambling line because I went and looked before. You know, I came on with you. There was no gambling line for this fight. So something is strange. Because we all know that the WWE, you can't gamble on any of those matches because, well, it's a TV show and the outcome
Right.
is already determined. So when people say, well, wait a minute, if this is an actual fight, why
Because
doesn't
it's
they
fake,
have a
Joe.
gambling line?
Because it's fake, Joe. That's why you can't gamble on WWE. It's fake, right?
Exactly.
Right or wrong, though, man. It's
It's
fake.
it, 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 it's it's
We
faker
ain't pulling hold no
it's
punches.
faker than a $6 bill.
Right.
You know.
I mean that's on the athletic commissions, man. Like sanctioning this shit, man. You know, and that's on us because like now, yeah, you know, he has a tremendous following and everything, but what you're giving the fanatic, the boxing, the new boxing fanatic, you're making them think that boxing is easy or they could cut corners in boxing. And
Nah.
that's not it. Like popularity, yeah, popularity is good. Like if you think of Floyd's popularity, Floyd did a lot to become so popular in boxing. You know, he did
Yeah,
a
he put
lot
in the
to get
work.
to the point to where he made money. And not only that, he was a gym rat. You know, I don't agree with a lot of the things that he does in boxing, but I think that the training aspect and the marketing himself, he was tremendous with that. You know, he did that, but He's a real boxer, and he put in the work. He those 100 amateur fights he got. You know, he was able to get a gold, a bronze medal. You know, multiple national titles. You know, and then he came out kicking ass. You know, so and he fought real fighters. You know, so I don't feel that. I just don't feel that he should be making all that money out of the sport and not paid his dues. Jake Paul, him or his brother.
Yeah, and I think what bothers me and
And
annoys
and, the, te- and the
a lot of
television
people.
networks getting the television networks like Netflix getting behind them. Nah, y'all should get in. Y'all should get into real boxing. Help cultivate that part. Real stuff.
Now let me ask you this. I mean,
I don't know
he said
what did Tim Bradley say? What did Tim Bradley say? See, Tim Bradley a real cat, man. I respect him, man. I had a conversation with him Cinco de Mayo weekend in Vegas at the press conference for the top ranked card, the Inouye card. And I enjoyed talking to him and I just listened to him, man. He's a real dude, man. He a real nigga, man. I like Tim Bradley, man. I like he real as hell. What did he say
I
about it though?
I'll put it to you this way. I respect everybody's opinion, but sometimes it doesn't mean I have to agree with him. I mean, some shit he say I agree with, but then sometimes the shit he say, especially when you watch, because I watch his channel, sometimes it come across as too disingenuous and it come across as pander. But let me ask you this: you said something before we went live, and I wanted you to like express it before we close out. I'm gonna tell you something that I'm getting sick and tired of, and I have to say this: me and you, as black men, I'm getting tired of this stuff. When a brother is fighting somebody that's not black, they have to be labeled, oh, I'll be the bad guy in the fight. And I'm like, well, why did we have to be the bad guy? Like all this stuff, you got people, because I've just seen this one coon ass nigga, I ain't gonna say his name, that looked like Garfield the cat. He was pissing me off. So yeah, Terrence Crawford is officially the bad guy going against Canelo. And I'm like, how is that? I'm like, why every time a fight like this happen, it gotta be a good guy or a bad guy when it's a black fighter versus a non-black fighter? And I made a video saying, no, we're not going for this anymore. No, not today. We're not going to label Bud anybody's bad guy because he's not a bad guy. And I don't feel like we have to take those type of labels to sell a fucking fight. At the end of the day,
Right,
it's just Bud versus Canelo. And
right.
and the person that said this, Jay, is black like us. I'm not gonna say who the dude is, but you didn't met him before. That is that goofy ass, bug-eyed Garfield the cat looking ass nigga. But you seen him before, and you know who I'm talking about. But he pissed me off when he said that, and I wish as a community we would stop doing that shit. But I'm gonna let you cook on that, and then I know you gotta go.
I mean, I just feel like we should support each other, and I and I
Facts,
and I and I mean as a whole in boxing, we should support each
facts.
other as a whole. It shouldn't be no knocking. Um, um, I don't never put down a fighter. I would never call a fighter trash because it take a whole lot of heart and a whole lot of you and that I respect to get in and out that ring. So I don't care if your talent is below par. I mean, I'm not gonna knock you. Like I said, I've started the professional boxing union, so I ain't knocking nobody. That's boxers that put in the work. You know what I'm saying? All I'm gonna try to do is help you. That's retired. I'm gonna try to do something to help you. You know, and create a union to whereas we all come together cohesively to help each other. So it shouldn't be no knocking, and it should be more class. Congrats to the little kid Austin. Man, he's a class act. I like that little brother, man. He came out, he put hands on Tevin Farmer. Good job, Tevin Farmer. But the kid finished it with class. You know, and this is what needs to happen more often. You know, we need to stop knocking each other and have class. You know, all of that shit that we should say about Bud and Top Rank and that shit just no need to. We need to get rid of that shit. We need to eradicate that shit. You know,
Facts.
knocking people. You know, you pick your favorite fighter, and that's cool. And if he lose, it's still cool. You know what I'm saying? Go on to the next. You know, everybody's entitled to their opinion, but let's keep the opinions positive. Let's keep the let's keep the shit talking clean. You know, let's play fair. You know, and then like I said, you know, we come up. You know, we support each other in this game, and that's what's gonna make it better. All the fighters supporting each other and coming together as a whole, and the fanatics being respectful. You know, and playing fair. Because a lot of you don't have no heart to get in and out that ring. You just gonna sit back and talk. So at the end of the day, who's trash? You ain't gonna get in that ring and back up all that shit you talk. Who's trash?
Of course not. Of
Right.
course not.
So we need to think about these things before we say it, you know. And like I said, this sport is a sport that we all enjoying and benefiting watching the talent, you know. So let's be kind and be respectful and play fair with the boxing talent, man, because they go through a lot, you know. So that's all I gotta say, you know, about it.
All right. Hey, well, check this out, y'all. In case y'all didn't know, my man Justin is from the Bay, just like me, coming out of that B town. So this is this some real Bay Area shit. This real shit. This real nigga shit. And and I can tell you this much, Justin got one of the most interesting backgrounds that one can imagine. But we gonna leave it at that. But hey, Jay, I appreciate you coming on here, man. Jay, do you got? I know
So,
a lot of people be asking me how do they get in contact with you because a lot of people be wanting to do interviews. He don't have. We working on it, y'all. Justin's YouTube channel
well,
and
well,
all that
well,
shit is coming soon. Tell them how to get in
well,
contact.
well.
Tell them about the
They can
Facebook.
hit me up. They can hit me up at the professional boxers union.com. They can send me a message there, or they can hit me on the Instagram at PBU Biz BIZ is on the Instagram. And shoot. They can hit me up, Justin McRay, JustinMcray on Facebook. So any of those is good. You know, you can hit me up, and if it's something we could talk about, we could talk about it. You want my opinion on something, hit me up.
All right. So there you have it. Hey Jay, appreciate you coming on here, man.
For sure, for sure, for sure.
All right, man. Appreciate you.
All
We out.
right. Peace.